By the end of this video, you will be able to answer the following bullet points. We will now check out Carlsen versus So in the Lindores Abbey Rapid tournament. At the end, we will also look at the standings. Carlsen has white, Wesley So has black. Here is the player introduction. Carlsen is 29, Norwegian and world number 1 since 2013. His rapid rating is 2881. Wesley So is 26 years old. He is USA number 3, rapid world number 21 with a rating of 2741. Carlsen has white, Wesley So has black. The game began d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight c3, bishop b4, the Nimzo-Indian Defence, knight f3, castle, bishop g5. Black now strikes in the centre. He's got two options, d5 or c5, and here he chose c5. Rook c1, defending your knight, and now take on d4. Knight takes d4 and h6. Maintaining the pin, but Wesley So still strikes in the centre with d5. Now after take, Wesley wants to play queen takes or knight takes, so he needs to sort this pin out. So he weakens his king. g5, the bishop goes back, and now queen takes d5. The queen is well centralised. e3, and queen takes a2. Wesley So goes pawn grabbing. White gives up this pawn, but black's king is weak. White needs to castle, and black needs to get the queen side pieces out. Queen c2, defending b2. Now knight takes a2 is a threat, so Wesley gets rid of this knight. Bishop takes c3 check, queen c3, knight e4, queen back, forcing black to make a decision on the knight, but first a check. King e2, and now knight takes g3 check. Better than f5. Because then you're creating even more weaknesses around the black king. f3, and then if you take, then the h-file is open for the rook. King e2, black takes the bishop, check, take back, and king g7. White is down a pawn, black's king side is weak. So Magnus strikes with f4. When I first saw f4, I felt if black can keep defending g5 with the queen, the h-file will not open. But let's see what happens. Another feeling, black is up a pawn, but he's behind on the queen side. Maybe it is okay to give a pawn back. Bishop d7 played in the game. This brings me on to my first bullet point, knight c6. When you are up a pawn, it is possible to give it back. Knight c6 was an option. Knight b3 is a good move here, but what happens if knight c6? Well, you're helping black develop with bc6. The bishop can come to a6 with check. If you get out the way, rather than taking on c6 with king f2, the game goes on. Bishop a6 is next, maybe rook d8 or rook b8. Now after knight c6, white can keep it with knight b3. And it's important for the black queen to keep defending the g5 pawn. So let's go queen d8, and after king f2, it's another game of chess. Bishop can come to e2 or to d3. Queen c3 is a check. Put the rook on d1. The game goes on. Bishop d7 played by Wesley So. He thought for 4 minutes. And now Carlsen plays b4. Magnus fought for 7 minutes. This is bullet point 2. Deflection moves are great. White played b4 to deflect the queen. Now queen d8 is possible. Queen takes b4 was played in the game. But if queen d8, it's just another game, knight f3. This looks like a better version than the game because the b4 pawn is alive. Move the king to f2, just shuffle over, queen c3 check, maybe put the knight on e5. However, in the game, queen takes b4 was played, and now f takes g5. And here, Wesley played rook c8. Let's have a look at another option, which is knight c6, which looks crazy. G takes h6, check. King h8 and rook h4. And this is the following bullet point. Notice black's king is actually quite safe on h8. So you're using your opponent's pawns as a shield. If you go rook h4 now, knight d4 check, rook d4, queen e7, and the game goes on. Wesley So played rook c8, giving Magnus a chance to come straight into the position. Firstly, he took with check, king h8, and now he gives up the queen for the rook and bishop. Queen takes c8 check, bishop c8, rook takes c8 check, king h7, and now knight f3. Which brings me on to my next bullet point. Knight f3 is very important to not allow him to trade this piece off. Magnus mentioned maybe Wesley So expected king f2, but this doesn't work out so well for white because a queen d2 check, bishop e2, and now the brilliant move knight c6. Wow. Giving up the rook in the corner, but knight d4, and black is in time for a perpetual. E d4, queen d4 check. You can't go back because queen a1 check loses the rook, and if you go forward, there will be enough checks. One option I was thinking of was king f3, because then it allows bishop d3 check. But the problem with king f3 is knight can't go to f3. Bishop d3 check looked really powerful, but queen d2 is now possible. Stopping bishop d3 check, but also queen d1 check is quite annoying. So after bishop e2 is still the same idea with knight c6, this brilliant resource mentioned by Magnus. Giving up the rook and then check, and then queen c3 check. And there should be a perpetual. So knight f3 is the brilliant move by Magnus, keeping the knights on, retaining great attacking chances. f6. This leaves the 7th rank open, but Wesley wants to cover the e5 and the g5 squares. King f2, sidestep. Queen b2 check, bishop e2, knight a6. Wesley has to get his pieces out, and this is the only way he can see to do it. So he plays knight a6, giving up the rook, and this is the vital difference. This knight is unable to trade off for that. Knight c5, rook d1. The h file is blocked, so let's go to the d file. Knight e4 check, king g1, f5, and bishop d3. Queen f2 check was played in the game. One more variation Magnus mentioned. Queen b3 is really nice because it allows the brilliant rook b1, giving up the bishop, but you come in on the 7th. Rook takes b7 check. The king can take. Rook h8 check, and no matter where the king goes, it can only go to g6. You will win the black queen. You will always be falling for a fork. King g6, knight e5 check, wins the queen. Back to the game, bishop d3, queen f2 check, king h1, and queen takes e3. No point going knight g3 because after king h2 there's no good check. So queen takes e3 played, threatening knight f2 check, but this is black's best piece. So let's just get rid of it. Bishop takes e4, f takes e4, and now to finish off Wesley So. Pause the video to have a go. How does white win? I'll give you 5 seconds. First move looks good, rook d7 check. King has to come forward. The king can take the pawn, but then rook h8 check will lead to the same thing. So king g6 and rook g8 check. Wesley So resigned. The green squares are the ones the king can go to. Let's just check out a few variations. Let's go king f6 first. Rook f8 check. King g6. Knight e5 check. King takes. h6. And knight g4 check will win the queen. If you go king f5, it is checkmate in 1. Rook f7. All squares guarded. And one more option, if you go king h5, it would be great if this pawn was off the board. So what's the next best thing? Just push it. Queen c1 check. You just go up. White will promote next, and that is game over. Here's the quarterfinal table so far. Nakamura won his match against Aronian. Carlsen won today. Yu Yang won against Ding Liren, and Dubov won the match today against Kayakin. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this video format. Check out one video here and another one over here. If you enjoyed the show, why not like the video and subscribe to the channel at the same time. Don't forget to hit that bell to get notified each time I release a new one. Thank you so much for watching.